Holding a quill, twice his size, and sporting an absurdly large cap, Stickman waddles onto the stage. With a dramatic clearing of his throat, he declares, "Look, I am Leonardo da Vinci. In stick form, that is." As he tries to balance the feather quill, which keeps toppling him over, the audience laughs. Yes, I experimented with art, science, and flying devices. Shall we delve into my brain? Stickman Leonardo makes a huge bow and opens a huge sketchbook, nearly collapsing with its weight. Scribbles of birds, gears, and odd devices can be seen on the pages. He confidently explains, "You see, I wasn't just scribbling for fun. I wished for people to fly like birds. Fly instead of fluttering like chickens. Curiosity was my playground slide, and my notes were my playground." As though flying wings, he wiggles his small stick arms. He jumps up on a swaying stool and points to a crude wooden structure that resembles bat wings. "My flying machine idea was this, my pals. Beautiful, imaginative, yet at the time, completely unfeasible." The frame falls behind him as he pauses for a humorous effect. "All right, my math could have been a little off. But really, where would planes come from if there were no dreamers? Not from chickens, of course." Stickman Leonardo now draws out a paintbrush as long as his torso. Naturally, though, I wasn't just interested in machines. My other obsession was art. Perhaps you are familiar with a small drawing I did of an enigmatic woman grinning. It's the Mona Lisa indeed. Even decades later, people are still squinting at her face in an attempt to figure out what she's thinking, since I painted her so meticulously, layer after layer. Spoiler alert, I was unaware as well. He exaggerates his stick eyes while feigning to gaze at an unseen canvas. Some claim that her smile is cunning. Some people think it's depressing. Some say she simply realized she had left bread in the oven. In actuality, I portrayed her expression as ageless so that arguments may go on indefinitely. It worked, whether you call it art or trolling. Pretending to bow to an unseen Lisa, he laughs. He pulls out another enormous sketch now, this one showing a man spread out in a square and circle like a starfish. Look, the man from Vitruvia, Stickman. In an attempt to duplicate the image, Leonardo spreads his arms wide before tripping over his own stick legs. This was how I demonstrated the human body's ideal proportions, a combination of art and science, such as using geometry to measure beauty. It turns out that humans are symmetrical squishy bags of bones, not just squishy bags of bones. Stickman Leonardo stumbles back to his enormous sketchbook and flips through drawings of odd machinery, including tanks, gears, and pulleys. The war machines, indeed. Look, I wasn't a fan of violence, but the rulers of the day funded inventions. So I thought of crazy ideas like whirling scythes, enormous crossbows, and armored vehicles. Fortunately, the majority were never constructed. Otherwise, history would have resembled a Stickman apocalypse. His arms flap in an exaggerated shrug. However, I wasn't all about causing destruction. I spent a lot of time studying nature. Bones, muscles, the motion of water, and the flight of birds. I dissected things, which was interesting, but not always pleasant. Thousands of doodles, jumbled ideas, and handwriting that was upside down filled my journals. Yes, I occasionally wrote things backwards, like a secret code. Perhaps I just liked making folks confused. Stickman. Leaning closer, Leonardo whispers in an overly secretive manner. I was just left-handed, and ink smudges irritated me. Despite the fact that many claimed my notebooks were fascinating, I so changed the direction of my writing. Brilliant? Perhaps. Indolent? Yes, too. In any case, it made the impression that my notebooks belonged to a wizard. He gestures with his arms as though using a quill to perform spells. Abruptly, he mounts a ladder and straps cardboard wings on his back. And now look at my human flight dream. He makes a spectacular leap, but a second later, he falls flat. Well, maybe I didn't conquer gravity, but I did conquer imagination, he says with pride after picking himself up. And sometimes that has greater power than any machine. Stickman, after brushing himself off, Leonardo sits on a stool and acts as though he is polishing an invisible canvas. People also tend to forget how much I enjoyed trying out different paints. I experimented with various hues, mixes, and even strange egg-based formulas. My paintings occasionally held up well, but other times they broke as easily as stale bread. However, half the fun came from experimenting, since it stoked my curiosity, and curiosity kept me alive. With a magnifying glass nearly as large as his face, he leaps to his feet. I also like learning about water. Boring old water indeed. However, I saw rains, rivers, and waves as puzzles. I would observe how ripples moved on a pond or how streams curved around boulders. Water seemed alive to me. It was constantly changing and never the same. Perhaps it is why I covered pages with wavy lines that everyone else thought were spaghetti. Then he pulls out a wooden device that resembles a spiral. My idea for a helicopter was inspired by this beauty, or the aerial screw, as I liked to refer to it. Was it useful? Not at all. Would it have taken flight? Not at all. But what if you were the first to ever envisage the spinning machine rising from the earth? Sometimes all you need is the spark that ignites a next invention. Success is not always necessary. Then Leonardo, the stickman, produces a pile of dusty scrolls. I also made notes regarding city planning, bridges, and canals. Yes, in order to make people's lives safer and cleaner, I wanted to remodel entire cities. It was ambitious, with planned layouts, sewage systems, and wide streets. Perhaps too ambitious. At least I wasn't drawing stick homes, though. Well, perhaps I drew some stick figures. His large round eyes are fixed on the audience as he sits cross-legged on the floor. Leo, I'm frequently asked, how did you do so many different things? I never saw boundaries, I tell them. I saw the fields of science, engineering, art, and imagination as one and the same. The entire park is open, so you don't have to pick just one swing. You simply play with everything. Abruptly, he takes out a bread loaf. Talking about playing, I used to design kitchen utensils. Indeed, picture Leonardo da Vinci creating a pasta cutter that is superior. Whether it was bread or ideas, my mind was constantly chewing on something. Whether it was serious or not didn't matter to me. I just attempted to make things better. Permission is not necessary for curiosity. Stickman then throws the bread into the air theatrically, catching it. The problem with invention is that it's not always about success. The most of my thoughts remained on paper. Nevertheless, I continued to dream about them and draw them. Because creation is about daring to think differently, not about results that are assured. You got up and thought of something daring, even if you end up looking foolish. He gets back on his stool and walks on thin ice. What more did I love, do you know? Costumes and theater. Yes, I did design stage effects once. They included moving, mystical scenery, machines that created artificial clouds, and dragons that breathed fire. I have a humorous side despite the fact that people perceive me as serious. I wanted to see if there was a method to make people laugh or gasp. The stickman stops and covers his heart with a theatrical gesture. However, understanding was my one real obsession. I wanted to know why, whether it was the wings of a dragonfly, the stars above, or human anatomy. I wanted to have a closer look at everything, since I wasn't content to just observe. I saw life as one enormous jigsaw that begged to be disassembled and put back together. At last, he glances around, grinning as broadly as a stickman can. So, perhaps I wasn't perfect. My notes confused people, my paintings occasionally cracked, and my machines didn't fly. But I left a world of questions, and questions lead to new discoveries. The true legacy lies not only in the things I created, but in the things I inspired others to create.
Stickman Leonardo's big hat almost falls off as he spins around. Not to mention my infatuation with anatomy. I drew organs, bones, and muscles for hours, not to be eerie, but to comprehend the functioning of the human mechanism. I saw bodies as having flawless architecture, with scaffoldings of bone, pulleys of muscle, and gears of flesh. Everything was interconnected in a way that nature alone could have created. His stick arms move like noodles. Drawing muscles on a stickman is obviously not very realistic, but believe me, I drew comprehensive sketches in real life. Every bone curvature, every tendon, every shadow. While some may have perceived it as gloomy, I viewed it as beauty, secret patterns just waiting to be unveiled. I solved them like puzzles, not just drew people. He is now almost prodding his own head while balancing a huge compass tool. Oh, geometry. I was interested by proportions, triangles, and circles. Math wasn't just numbers to me. In disguise, it was art. Secret codes were followed by the pattern of stars, the seeds of a sunflower, and spiral shells. One line at a time, I simply attempted to glimpse the universe's design. Stickman Leonardo holds his giant quill in a sword-like grip.